people that the meeting is being recorded. See? Being recorded, and I will take any changes to the approval, to the agenda for this meeting, please let me know. And if not, we'll turn it over to Marina at the licensing office.
Hi, everyone. So I believe one of applicant Nantucket Magic is not here today. They just informed me they're not able to attend. Since it's a new event, I would like them to present it because I don't really know details of their event. So we would need to postpone this one to our next meeting in August.
So we will table that, and you'll start with Melissa, Marina?
Yeah, so Melissa can go ahead and present her event.
Thanks, Marina. Hi, nice to see your face. And thanks for getting me on the agenda. So I've never done this before, so I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I actually was supposed to play at the Children's Beach with Chris Hansen, who's a local musician, but we got rained out. So we were setting everything up on the Children's Beach, and Abby from the Gypsy Cafe, she came and she said, "Are you guys playing more? You need to play more. We've had tons of rain. We've had no business. There needs to be more music here." And she was really enthusiastic and supportive. So that sort of motivated me to say, okay, who do I call? What are the channels? And then led me to Marina, who got me on today's agenda. So we play very family-friendly music. Chris Hansen plays bluegrass music. I play like soft rock from the 70s. We have all our equipment, and we can promote ourselves. And I think it would be a really low maintenance gig from 5 to 7 on, what's the date again? August 4th, which is a Friday. And if it rains, hopefully a rain date could be August 8th. We have all of our equipment, and all the musicians are local except for me. Did I miss anything? Do you need any other details from me? I'm not sure.
Are there any conflicts with the date or the backup date, either Marina or David?
No conflicts from our end. That's a quiet night for us.
Great. Well, we're going to liven it up, I think.
Okay.
Any questions by any commissioners about the event?
No, sounds great to me.
Okay. Hearing none, I will take a motion to approve. Andre, I'm seeing a motion, and Nikki a second.
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Seeing none opposed, it is approved, Melissa. And if you can get maybe my contact information, I could probably steer you to some short-term housing possibilities at
Amazing.
a nonprofit that I work for.
That would be incredible. Thank you so much. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Marina?
Oh, excuse me, Mike.
Yes.
Shanta has her hand raised.
Oh, okay. I don't see that. Oh, yes, I do. Shanta?
Hi, thank you. I was just going to say, Melissa, if you can send us a flyer to Visitor Services, we'll definitely help you promote it on the Cultural District as well as through the Culture and Tourism's website.
Thank you so much. That's great.
Thank you.
And that's to the email who gave me the agenda for this meeting.
I'll drop my email in the chat.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much. And now back to Marina.
Okay, so next request we have from Barbara to use Jetty's upper parking lot for their event. It's not going to be exclusive use of Jetty's parking lot. It will be still open to the vehicles, and they would just need to use it partially. But I'm going to let Barbara to explain what they're trying to do.
Okay, so mine takes a little bit of an explanation. Thank you, everybody, for this opportunity. I'm doing an event called Living and Playing in a Sustainable World. I will tell you it's a passion project for me. It is happening at the Nantucket Hotel on August 16th from 4 to 5:30 with a panel discussion. Bob Miklos is our moderator, and we have Tobias from ACK Smart, part of the panel, and then 3 other companies. Following that, there is one of the companies is called Clip. They actually do a battery that attaches to a bike and allows it to become an electric bike up to about 15 miles an hour. And that's really what I'm looking for jetties for, is to have a little demonstration. People can come and try it out. I sent to Marina some videos. I don't know whether they made them to you guys or not, about what Clip is and what it's about, but I think it's a really good use of all the bikes that are sitting in garages, because I know I have 4 of them in mine, and 1 electric that cost me $1,500, and the battery goes for about $500. So my event is about living and playing in a sustainable world. So playing and living, bike is kind of both of those things. And then we're doing a movie at night at the Dreamland called Dark Waters. If any of you are familiar with PFOA, it's the story of the litigation with DuPont. And I'm sure you all are familiar with our firefighter who had ended up with cancer due to all his firefighting gear, Nate. And so that's an important part of this. It's all sort of I'm trying to create these events to create education around sustainability and conversations around sustainability, which is why these events to me are very important. But again, it's a total passion project. I've been supported incredibly by Nantucket, by the hotel. They're sponsoring me. It's going to be filmed on NCTV. They're sponsoring me, and along with the Dreamland sponsoring the movie. So it's just something I felt I had to do. It's hard to explain what drove me, other than the fact that living on the island, we realize how small our resources are. And I think that's made me more aware since I've been living here full time. But I'm looking just to do, I guess, an event, you'd call it, where we can use part of Jetty's parking lot just for people to try out the battery. So we provide the bikes, we have them there unless people drive right up on their own. And the Clip battery goes on, they just sort of do a little circle. He's from Brooklyn, New York, and they do them in parking lots there. So it's done in a very small venue, but I was looking for a place that would have people that would be on the safer side, because you can't really just do it in the middle of a street, right? Having the parking lot, we can kind of keep an eye on who's coming and going and make sure that things are safe for the people that are giving it a try. Any questions? Sorry, I kind of spewed a lot of stuff there.
It's not a problem for you to share the parking lot, Barbara?
No, because it comes down to money, like the cost of shutting the whole parking lot down. I saw what the cost was, and like that, like I said, this is me and the sponsors they're helping me out on Nantucket. So, money is an issue. But so sharing it, the way he's done it in the past is it's been a parking lot that's been being used. So.
Okay. Any questions by anybody on the commission?
Just have a quick question. How many people do you expect? Like, do you have any idea how many bikes are going to be?
Well, I have, he'll probably only bring like 2 bike batteries, so it won't be a lot at once. It would just be people trying it out. And based on the others that he has done, it's usually, a few people show up and give it a try. It's not a, it's not a huge thing.
Right.
Very, very small. I mean, that's what I see, you never know when you get into something, but that's the plan. And there's not like there's 100 bikes, it'd be like 2 bikes.
Right. No, I was just curious how many batteries he was bringing. I think it's an amazing thing. That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my question. Just how many?
And we're good on those dates, everyone?
It was August 16th.
Yeah.
Like from 12 to 2 kind of thing, unless there's a specific reason. The event's at 4, but I want to do the bike obviously prior to that because he's part of the panel.
Okay, did I see 1 to 3 on the request though, Marina?
Yeah, on the agenda.
We can adjust. It doesn't, if it works from 12 till 2, we can adjust. I think we've done similar event at Children's Beach a couple years ago. It was with e-bikes. It was sponsored by some kind of state of Massachusetts company, and they collaborated with energy coordinator. So it was just electric bikes, not a battery but I think the town of Nantucket requirements was participants would need to sign waivers. Just
Okay,
make sure if something happens, because they're writing it on the public property, they're writing, and you giving them something to try. So we would need you to come up with a waiver, so they will sign the waiver.
and is it a waiver that I would create or a waiver that the town creates, or you give me
No,
a?
it will be your organization. You need to do the waiver
Okay,
and make sure you include the town of Nantucket, and they would just need to sign the waiver of liability.
okay.
Okay. And Shanta, I would imagine your earlier request still applies in this case?
Yes, it does. I actually just sent you an email, Barbara.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Andre, you good? Yep, okay. Nikki, did I see you make a motion to approve?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
Andre, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
I,
None opposed, so you have it, Barbara.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys think about coming to the event too. Should be
good
fun.
luck. I'd love to try that bike.
Yeah, if okay, I'll put the event link inside the email so you guys can see what it is. 'Cause I don't
Fantastic.
know if it was in there or not. Was it, Marina? I don't think it was.
The event wasn't, no.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'm just starting to publicize because it's August. People, July 4th, nobody pays attention to anything in August before July
Right.
4th. So
Okay.
thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. And Marina, the third request is on hold. We're going to table
That's
that.
correct. Yep.
Okay. And nothing else from you at this point?
No, we have a couple annual events. If you want to discuss annual events that coming up at the Jetties Beach, since the annuals, they didn't come to request because they've been approved in the past, and I think they all written in concession agreement with the Sandbar. It's
Okay.
just a Swim Across America event that's going to be on Saturday at the Jetties Beach, and then we have Sandcastle contest that's going to be next Saturday on July 29th. So it's been approved internally by all the town departments. No issues with those events.
Okay. Before I go to Charlie's report, anything, David, to share? I'm gonna guess.
Did you need something from me, Mike?
No, I just didn't know if you had anything that you needed to share before I turned it over to Charlie.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Charlie, your report?
Alrighty, kind of the big thing today will be Jill and Justin to talk to them about some, some indoor stuff, but I'll give a brief overview of the parks. We got a lot of summer camps that are up and running. Things are going pretty well, smoothly. I just got notified this morning that Nantucket Little League is hosting Barnstable. August 12th, I guess some teams are coming over to play our Little League teams over here, so they're very excited about that. They haven't had anyone over here in quite some time, for competitive Little League, so that should be fun. The field maintenance program is going pretty well. We're getting a little bit of some noise complaint stuff with Tom Nevers and softball, so we're working on that. Trying to keep everybody happy. Otherwise, everything's going pretty well. Hopefully, we'll be moving forward towards the end of this month or into August with getting the security cameras starting to be installed around at the different parks, and we'll kind of go from there. But all in all, everything's going pretty smooth.
Great.
Great.
So now I guess we can bring in Jill and Justin and start talking about some indoor.
I'm here.
Okay, so we have Justin Quinn and Jill Veith, and they've been working fast and furiously trying to drum up excitement for an indoor facility on Nantucket. So I'll let you two take it away.
Sure. Yeah, it's great to be here, and thanks for having us. Justin and I had been meeting and talking about, wouldn't it be great if we had indoor facilities on the island and more access to year-round sports, basically. So we'd met with some other folks who were interested, and tried to gauge that, and we wanted to see, if you as a commission would support that, or be willing to, maybe have further conversations about what those needs are. Maybe you already know what some of those needs are. Maybe Charlie already has some data and access to that. I know Justin has tracked quite a bit of the use of the fields and how many miles are run on the fields. So, we want to be supportive if that's helpful to you, but, we're hoping that that's something that, it kind of bubbles up from the commission, and working with the town. I think with the big issue, of course, in the interim is, would it be supported? And then the second big question, I think, is, where could it be? And so that's something that you all kind of know better than we do about what are those possibilities. And, again, what is your demand that you see already for the town's sporting needs? And where can we meet that need going forward? So, and also just, as a side, and you already know this, so forgive me for stating the obvious, but there are so many mental health issues going on that I just think more access to more sports is, that's what brings people together. I always say that I heard a great phrase recently, and I keep saying to everyone who will listen, that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection. And that's really my goal in all this. I just want to be supportive. I don't know what the end result will be, but I want to bring people together. I know that's been just an amazing thing for me personally out at the paddle courts. And I've seen so many hundreds of people there make those connections as well. And I've been really interested to see the kids in their 20s meet people there too, because I think that's a tough age group for, what is it that they have to do, especially after work. And so I really would love to see some kind of outreach effort to that age group and see if we can get them involved, because they're the ones that are going to benefit the most, right? I mean, younger kids will, but they can't help us get a movement going. And so I just wondered if you all had any thoughts about that too.
So I spoke about this at the last meeting, so I'm going to look to Nikki and Andre to jump in first, and then Charlie, you close on their heels.
Great. I think it would be worth getting like a subcommittee going and talking about this like a little bit further into it, like not just on this forum, but if we did something and brought in a few more people, community members, so I think we need to get some kind of, excellent, that's awesome, that's good to see. I think we need some kind of outreach, to get to, like Jill said, different age groups, and definitely the 20s, and unfortunately you hear about so many young kids going into rehab, like barely 21, and they're the ones that need something after work, because you know what? Yeah, if they're not in school, they're back here and staying with their parents because they have issues. And, the only thing they do is go to work, and then they want to have a beer after work. We need more than that, and, obviously the job that I do, I'm a personal trainer. You can see I'm in the gym here. I'm really, really so passionate about this that it makes such a massive difference to people's headspace. It's huge. And this island is just so focused on food and drink and partying and all of that. And unfortunately, that age group have so much access to that and money because they're working in the summers and they're getting all that cash. So that's where they're throwing it at. They need another outlet. And not just them, the other thing I was thinking is like older people in the wintertime, in other towns, they have malls they can walk around, the silver sneakers, they're walking around there. There's nowhere for older folks to safely walk anywhere around here in the wintertime when it's cold. And if there's that frost on the ground and tree stumps, and it's gorgeous. I'm not saying that we have so much outside space, but we need a bit more. And also for older folks to be able to chat to other people when they're walking, that's just my initial thought right there. There's a lot more to it, but I think it would be great if we could get community involvement, right, with other people as a subcommittee, right? And just we all reach out individually as Parks and Rec representatives and try and get some other people on board to have subcommissions. And we don't all have to be there at the same time every night, but I think we definitely need some more, you know, different groups coming in. But it has to be a community effort. We want them telling us what we need, right?
Right.
That's my thought.
Thank you, Andre.
Yeah, following up to that, I think, you know, for a higher age people who wants to do something, they can't afford to go to a gym. Like we spoke at the beginning with Charlie, you know, having an outdoor space where they can do some stuff. Like the Venice situation where I said before, gyms are out there. People just need to come in and practice and do something. You know, not a lot of people have $250 a month to pay for a gym that is this size and doesn't fit, and there's always young people working out and making noise that, you know, the older people cannot take it. So that's one thing. The second thing would be research about the target that we're going to feed first. What kind of people we're going to be driving the interest first? Is it soccer people? Is it track people? Is it what? You know, and then the population that is going to be directed to, because I see here everybody, Americans, sort of everybody from somewhere, but Americans. And I'm Brazilian. I represent a little bit of the Latinos, and I see the amount of kids, they're running out the fields every day. It's incredible. And I believe all the Americans following through, you know, so we need to target who we're going to serve first. Yeah,
Charlie, you want
that's
to
it.
jump in? Thank you, Andre.
Sure. You know, I joke. I don't think I've talked to anybody more about this than Jill. You know, she and I were texting the past couple of days leading up to this meeting. And so I'll reiterate kind of some of the things that she and I have often talked about, that, you know, I think that the subcommittee thing is, you know, we talked about this a little bit last meeting too, about bringing in different, you know, players in the community, you know, bringing a Boys and Girls Club, bringing in, you know, the entire community school, and these other people into these meetings kind of to be the leaders, and then invite the community to come in, and, you know, let's see what everybody's looking for, and then how we best use our overall facilities between the school and the community school, and what they offer, what the Boys and Girls Club is capable of, and then how, you know, if we're going to build something new, how do we pick up the slack? And figuring out what we want that to be is a big part. You know, is it a 95,000 square foot full soccer field? You know, like that's got a building that size has its own challenges. Is it, you know, is it a smaller building that has, you know, a half soccer field, a basketball court with some sort of mezzanine walking track, you know, on kind of like a second level, like, you know, so we need to figure out what everything needs, and then we, you know, then find the space, you know, to kind of do that. So that way we know if we're going to approach, whether it be the town or the land bank or, you know, a private donor, we know what we're going for. We, you know, it's not just we need land, but it's we've talked. Once we get some ideas, we can then start to talk to a designer and say, okay, for what we want, we need 5 acres of total property to get parking plus the building, this and that. And then we can really get this, you know, focus in on what we're doing, how to fund it, and how to build out the programming. I mean, I'm at the fields every day, multiple times a day, cruising through, and the amount of people who are like over at Nobody, or aside from like the summer camps, just people out there, you know, is incredible. There's like continues to notice a bunch of the girls, must be girls high school lacrosse players over there just playing. I was in there the other day and a bunch of girls were walking in with field hockey sticks, which I was like, hey, great. Yeah, I was like, I wish I had a field hockey goal. I don't know if they just use the lacrosse nets, that sort of thing. But you know, the amount of people that are over there constantly throughout the week, using the facility, it's also I find it very interesting. A lot of people move towards the turf, you know, instead of onto the grass fields that are there. And so everyone kind of you know, packs in, and then there's, you know, whoever kind of the last group to show up is, I'll notice to be on like one of the grass fields. It's an interesting observation.
So a question, Charlie, and I think putting together a subcommittee or whatever we need to call that of a number of entities in the community, and I agree, the Boys and Girls Club would be you know, a group, and I've spoken to Jamie Foster about it already. But you need a representative of the schools, as you indicate. I think the the thing that can really make this work in a multi-generational facility, because that's the way that I see it. You wouldn't want it just for school-age kids because it wouldn't be used from, 8 o'clock until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So having it be a multi-generational piece will garner an awful lot of support. But my question to you, Charlie, and maybe for Maureen is, do we have any funds to put into a feasibility study? Because I think what we need to accomplish what you're talking about, which is what is exactly our use, we need to engage an architect, whether it is the group that the town's been using or a group that they have used in the past. And I'm thinking that money is going to be between 40 and 50,000 for a feasibility study. Where do we stand with that?
We're actively working on funding.
Okay. Okay, so whatever you need from the commission, you need to let us know so that we can support you in that effort, right?
Or
Andre and Nikki?
possibly just a letter, maybe, a letter from the commission signed by all the commissioners to the select board. Saying that you endorse this would be
Okay.
fantastic.
Right.
I think we could do that quite easily. And then Justin, I haven't given you a chance to pop in to the conversation, so jump in.
Well, I met with Jill and Charlie and Diane maybe about a month ago. And Diane, I think, gave us a field usage chart. And I think the high school fields get about 3,500 hours of use per year. And I equated that 3,500 hours is to 3,500 hours not on the phone. That's 3,500 hours that the kids are not on the phone. They're not on Instagram, they're not on TikTok, they're not on whatever. But as some of you might have seen, there's been a study that said that the average wait time for a teenager to see a therapist in the United States is 48 weeks. And kids who are crashing, they go to the emergency room.
Wow,
That's a problem.
that's a problem.
Well, I think we're preaching to the choir right here, because I don't think that there's anybody in this group that doesn't see the need for this. I think the question is, how do we go further down that road, as Charlie said, of identifying exactly what we want, because we won't know the square footage of this and the building costs until we have an idea of what we want to put into it. And one of the challenges for this, and I've spoken to this before, is we have to be careful who we bring in and promise what to, because it can't possibly be a facility that is going to meet the need of every group that would like to be under this umbrella. So that doesn't mean that we don't do it. It just is, that's a reality that we're going to face as this, gets more and more attention. And quite frankly, there's room for 3 or 4 different types of indoor facilities on this island to meet all of the demands that we've talked about, from pickleball to mini kicker soccer and everything in between, right?
Are you guys familiar with Bob Miklos? It has a company that's called Ab Lab Design, but he's done indoor facilities, and he brings nature in. He did Quinnipiac, which is where my daughter went, and they just finished it. And he's the moderator for my event. So he might be one, and he's an islander. So he owns property, spends a lot of time here, but has another property somewhere else. So he's not a full-time full timer, but he might be someone that might be willing to at least help the discussion in the beginning.
If you could make an introduction
To
for me
who do I
that
make it
could-
to?
that I could share with Jill and Charlie.
Who do I make it?
I know Bob, Barbara. I used to be on
Okay.
like, the AAN board with him. He's
Okay.
fantastic and I agree with you. He would
Yeah.
be awesome to, you know, at least talk about what, you know, because he knows Nantucket so well.
Right, and he does, I mean, this is what he does, so I think he'd be willing to at least, you know, talk to us, talk to you, talk to whoever's, because I would love to be on, and help initiate this. It sounds great, because I have a 24-year-old who lives with me. And, he,
You're on an island.
yep, he's on island with
wow.
me. We moved here the week COVID shut the world down. It was planned, but they were all supposed to go. 2 came home, 1's still here. And, but he's a hockey player. So the hockey rink is what saves him.
Yep.
It's been
Yeah.
a godsend, but that's not every night. Like if he had a place, he could just go play and pick up basketball, because he's not one to go out to bars. That's not what he does, thankfully. So I just think, I don't know, I was meant to be on this call. I just think this is awesome.
Oh, I'm so glad, because we want people like that. That's an age group I feel very passionate about, because I got to meet so many kids in their 20s who now play paddle, and they did not play paddle until 2 winters ago. None of them did. And they all just decided to show up. They all played soccer together, and then they started showing up at paddle. And a lot of them had decided, actually, to be honest, and they would tell you this, to not drink or not drink so much, or, you know, whatever. They wanted to keep playing games and do other things. And that has been, it was so eye-opening for me. And it's what really spawned my desire to see this happen.
Very
And
cool.
maybe nobody's tackling you in pickleball the way that they are in soccer. So,
Well, the paddleball hurts a lot worse when they hit me, so I'm not sure I get to play with these kids anymore. But you know,
Okay.
pick I can kind of take it.
I think Barbara hit the nail on the head that it's, especially when we get into the winter, there isn't a lot of open space for people to go. You know, like there is men's league, you know, basketball, but that's a scheduled certain night of the week at the Boys and Girls Club. There isn't necessarily just an open place where people could just, you know, like in the summer, they could go to the school and there's the courts where you can go down and shoot by yourself. And all of a sudden, if a couple people show up, now you got a game going. There isn't anything really like that in the winter, which is what I think this could potentially be, is to serve as, you know, maybe, you know, really a recreation facility where it's not just sports focused, but has a, you know, a place to congregate, you know, for people who don't want to go to the bars or something else. And maybe, you know, maybe there's a, you know, a coffee shop in the front half of it or something with, you know, for people who have no interest in sports but want to be out in a place that's not a bar.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
There's a lot that could go into this, you know, and you know, and that will be the development part of this, is how do we turn it into something that best serves
As many
the
people.
bulk
as
of the
possible.
community. You know, when I was in front of Capital Committee last year, Christy Kickham is always in the back of my head now every time I think about these things.
yes.
And I was proposing the Nobody or Field expansion. And Christy goes, I'm not a teenage soccer player. How does this benefit me as an Nantucketer? And so that kind of spurred my whole reason of thinking of, like, as we're looking, you know, obviously Nobody is kind of our first half. And then that's why when we're talking about the Delta Field expansion, how do we make that, let the Nobody side kind of be the sports, the soccer, lacrosse, but how do we pack as much into the space for other recreation stuff for other people who aren't going there to play, you know, lacrosse or soccer? And so that, I think, is where that need is. And that ever since Christy said that in that meeting, that just has resonated constantly as going through this stuff, is how do we serve, you know, because there is a lot of stuff for young kids in actual organized sports. It's how do you serve the people who now aren't in high school? You know, that 3,500, you know, 3,500 hours of sports for high school is great, but if you're not in high school in that organized program, where do you find that?
Well, and also we want people to come here and work. So we need people like Barbara's son to want to be here in their 20s. I can't fathom doing that back then, but we need that age group here. And I think it's possible we can lose that age group because they don't have a way to make connections in the same way.
And how, I mean, housing obviously is an issue for many of them, but that connection, you know, they're going to work a lot harder to find housing, right? If they find they have, my oldest son, who's 30, met his wife here. They were both working on the island at the time. And they've since moved off, but for different doesn't really matter why, but they met here because there was a small group of them that got together, and it had to do with the NHA and the connection with that. So, but that was unusual because my son that's here now is kind of like, you know, he's trying, but like I said, he doesn't go out to bars, and so the hockey rink is really his only source.
Yeah.
And that could lead to housing too, if you get a group of guys that, you know, the same age, you get together,
Right.
someone like, hey, you know, why don't we all get a house together?
Yep.
Now, instead of like two people trying to, like, you know, it generates, you know, you get a group of people who can rent a place together, but easier than a single person, you know, who make, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Barbara,
connection
if
is
your
key.
son ever wants to go out and play pickle or paddle, I know I can get him a game, so make sure.
I
that-
don't know, he laughs at me when I say I play pickle, so, but the pickup basketball was what I think he would go towards, but I will certainly
They
ask.
do have that at Boys and Girls Club, I think every night. They're kind of overwhelmed at
Oh,
Boys.
do
and Girls
they?
Club,
Okay.
And that's one
But
reason we
maybe
want
not
to
in the
do this
wintertime.
facility,
Yeah.
because I think they're overwhelmed with too many.
I
people.
didn't realize that, and he's not one to like go searching, he's pretty quiet and shy. But hockey has been his whole life, so he was comfortable there, and people have embraced him, so it's
good.
worked out, but he needs more. He absolutely does. It's
So
spending way too much
Charlie,
time with his mother.
take us to next steps, Charlie, please.
So if we get the approval, you know, the approval for the feasibility study money will be the kind of the big thing. And I think once, if we can get that greenlit to the select board, then it'll be trying to pull, you know, if we pull in the big. Yep.
No, I just, on the feasibility study, will we be able to maybe get a proposal from more than one firm? Or I'm not sure that we want to be locked into whoever we used last.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. You know, there's a couple different firms that have done a lot of work with the, you know, like the school using, I think, SMRT for
Yeah.
their recreation stuff. You know, we've engaged Weston and Sampson did work on the open space and recreation plan. We could just put that out as, you know, I've double checked the file. We could probably just put it out as an RFP,
RFP.
you know, to find, you know, maybe there's somebody who's more focused on, you know, that rec side of things, and we can always see what people come back at us with. And while we're doing that, I think we can start to reach out to the Boys and Girls Club Community School, those kind of key players, and maybe make a board, you know, for this subcommittee, you know,
Okay.
involves all the Parks and Rec Commission, plus all these kind of heads people, then they can bring in, you know, they'll all know kind of who their bigger players are, I guess, within their communities, people who are constantly looking for more, and then start to then open up and have a big discussion, and we can certainly work on, you know, getting a Zoom meeting pulled together.
So I can approach Travis Lombardi, the school athletic director, and I can approach Jamie Foster. Does somebody know Alicia Graziade from the community school, Joe?
Yeah.
Would you,
And I just met Jasmine, their new
Right.
sports coordinator, the other day.
maybe we can pull a few of those people in. Justin, did you?
Yeah, Stanmar, which is owned by Mark Snyder, built the Boys and Girls Club, and they build university athletic facilities.
As does SMRT and probably,
Stan-
so,
Right,
yeah, that'd be great to have several bids is all I was trying to get to, because
could
it might be a
interesting
little
to
more
watch
competitive.
this land bank RFP that just went out and see who responds. You know, because it looks quite expansive from what it went out from the first time, I believe, so.
Okay,
Also, if I could mention on that one thing that I think would be helpful, just from my personal perspective, is, you know, we are limited on space and land and demand, as you're saying, Mike, like not everybody's going to get everything, right? So because we have the courts at NRSA and they're doing an expansion project and that's been approved. I'm hoping people can encourage the land bank who run, they own that land. And I'm hoping people can encourage those commissioners to try to have more seasonal use. So that would be like maybe a bubble or a temporary structure in the off season for the pickle courts and the tennis courts that they're going to build. Because that might take a lot of pressure off from an endlessly expanding, you know, indoor facility. That was just my own personal thought. Like,
Yeah.
It gets really expensive when there's so much more square footage. It's like 10,000 more square feet per tennis court. So,
Yep.
you know, and and a field would be quite large. So I want to make sure that all the I would love it if everybody was in one big building, but I think we all know that probably can't happen. So
Is there a, somebody who is perceived or has a title within the pickleball group that we should add to this commission, Jill?
well, Tom Dixon, who's on the select board, as you know, he is the head of NRSA. He's the head of the board.
Okay,
But it probably wouldn't be bad if you got another board member to get involved with this. And I
could
can
you
give you a
ask
list.
him who might be best to try to tap?
Sure. And I'm
Okay.
going to go to the land bank. They have a meeting next week, and I would encourage anybody to go with me. I just going to stand up at their public comment in the beginning and say, I hope you'll consider when they have to design the courts. Right now, they just sent out the RFQ, as Charlie said. So in that design, would they consider looking at some sort of seasonal use? And that way, like you're saying, Mike, we're all working together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would help me if anybody knew somebody that wanted to go with me. And I think Justin's going to go with me. And looks like Nikki, that'd be great. I mean, we don't need a million people to go. We have
when
to-
is it?
It's next. Let me confirm. I believe it's the 25th.
I'm not back on island. Will they do a Zoom with it?
I don't know. I don't think they do. They're pretty,
Okay.
everything's pretty old school there, but maybe Barbara, if you'd write the commissioners just an email and say, we'd love to see seasonal use in your new design at the pickleball courts, that would be great.
All
In the
right.
meantime, Charlie, I will draft a letter and send it to Nikki and Andre and the rest of the commissioners to just look at and see that we could send to you said the board, right?
Yeah, to the select board, just
Like board,
emphasizing your support of the feasibility, funding for a feasibility study.
okay.
That'd be great.
I'll pen that, send her. Go ahead, Nikki.
I just had a quick thought, just something really simple and like right off the bat that isn't going to cost anything. How about if we did some kind of survey, went through, I don't know, maybe ask Nantucket Current, because that's who everybody looks at and all ages are looking at Nantucket Current. Why don't we just do something simple and ask them if they would do a survey and just see if something was to go ahead, what would people want? Maybe see which age groups they're applying from, right? Just so we can see what people are looking for, and just, because it is a community thing. And I think everybody needs to be involved, and it's not then just coming from the board and the commissions. I think it needs to be, everybody can have their input. People know we can't have everything. We can't do everything. And especially with how much land and everything we have, it's not going to happen. But at least they're getting their input in, right? And then everybody can see what people are looking for, right? Maybe Nantucket Current will do it, so.
Yeah, that's usually one of the first phases of the feasibility study. Is that
Right.
we would, so once we bring someone on board, we would say, this is kind of what we're looking for. They would then draft pretty comprehensive survey, and then it would get released to the town webpage. We just went through one for the open space, Parks and Rec open space plan that happened. There's one for the concession feasibility study. And so they develop these pretty expansive surveys and then put them out there. And then it's on us to really push people to try to get, to get them to go to them. And then Florencia's been very good about making them bilingual.
Oh, yeah.
Through the town and releasing them. And then if we can then push places like the Current to grab those off the town page, that's where you really get the exposures. The town puts them up.
That's what I was going to say.
The other networks to like jump in and say, hey, go do this.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, because the minute so when it goes in the town, you're not getting the 18 to 21-year-olds reading the town website. They're not on it.
Yeah, that's
So-
true.
I know,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna jump in because I know that Maureen's got a hard stop here at 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
No, but I think Charlie can take over the meeting for me.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
Maureen.
can pass it to me.
So,
Okay,
okay,
that'd be
but thank
great.
you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. Jill, were you going to add something? Did I?
No, I just think if you all have the, freedom to, I guess my question is, and I don't know how commissions work, is there at a point where can you have, I mean, you have public meetings. Can you have a public hearing where people can come, and can you book time at fairgrounds? I mean, obviously that's down the road, I think, but is that something that you're able to do and say, hey, we're meeting at 5 o'clock, and invite the public and notify the public and say, we want to hear from you about an indoor facility? Just,
Yeah, I mean, we could put it, I mean, these meetings technically are, I believe, are open to the public for anybody who wants to join in.
Yeah.
I don't, whether we would congregate in a place as well as Zoom. I know a lot of people find the Zoom thing seems to be the easiest because everyone can be wherever they are and kind of hop on.
yeah.
Well, I think we, let's nail down this feasibility study if we can first, because I think that will open the doors, as Charlie said, to the survey and possibly hearings, and it'll all dovetail nicely if we can get that part rolling.
I think once we get rolling, then like a lot of people don't realize that, unless you pay attention to town commissions and committees, nobody like before I worked for the town, I had no idea when anybody met. I didn't watch anything. And so once we get to that point where we want to, then that's when you blast it to, they get the Nantucket Current to be like, oh, there's a talk about an indoor rec facility coming, your voice heard, and then post the Zoom link or whatever, and we can invite, and grow that way. Because I guarantee you there's a lot of people who don't even know when this meeting occurs.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I think, yeah, it does. It's no news
I did
until
not.
you've done something wrong.
Right.
So,
Well, my other question for you, again, I'm a grassroots person. That's sort of my background, is sort of just talking to people, and can you all maybe even over the winter or something, could you set up at the NRSA and have a commissioner there and say, hey, we just want to know what your thoughts are, how would you feel about having more indoor facilities? Or, I don't know, can you go to the open night at basketball and ask people questions, give them a survey to fill out? I mean, we could go to them, because it's hard for them to come to us, because it is hard to know when the meetings are.
I
wonder
think
if
the
we could also use
problem,
our new building at Nobody. I wonder if we get, have a, like, there aren't chairs there, but we could have like bring a chair and have a conversation.
I would recommend that you use the lecture hall at the school, which is more comfortable and air conditioned and houses 100 people. And I think the problem, Jill, with us going to various groups, we'd have to do it as individual board members, because if we had enough to have a quorum, it would have had to have been posted as our meeting, if that makes sense.
Yes,
You've
definitely.
done
with
this
the open
a
meeting
few
law, sure.
times, and so I think for individual commission members to go to those places, I think that makes every bit of sense.
I think it could be great. I mean, we could always find out when there's a particular tournament or big event. I mean, Charlie knows when all the public stuff's being used. I can fill you in when NRSA, which is public but not governed by the town, when they have events. I think it'd be great to have someone there at some of these things, and let people know. We got to make it easy for them. I mean, we know that there's a town council study committee that the select board is going to appoint soon, and that is to look at changing our form of government, because people are not showing up at town meeting. And so, that's a good indicator that it's really hard for us, like Nikki was saying, that, it's hard. You got to make it easy for people.
Yeah.
And we want to get it right. I mean, and this is an island that's so easy to poll or do focus groups with. So
That's where I think Zoom access makes a big thing. I've said for a lot of years, I think it'd be a nightmare, but if you could somehow let everyone Zoom into town meeting, you'd get a lot more people who are, aren't just trying to pack the house for one thing. And so now you get stuck in the, in the cafeteria or standing room only. Is what makes town meeting tough, is the access. I know a lot of older people, my friends' grandparents were avid goers until they had started to have mobility issues. And then it was, they couldn't park, a mile away and walk to the school, because it becomes packed. So that, having ease of access to Zoom, I think would allow us to have a large group of people. Could be kind of a chaotic meeting, but
right. Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hope we get there. I think it's exciting. I feel like we got endorsed, to do this with the open spaces plan just recently, supported by the select board and voted on and endorsed. So I think you all have a really big calling right now, and it's exciting. And we just want to help you in any way that we can. So
I've
You
met
know,
with several summer residents who were members of both yacht clubs and the golf club, and they've all expressed tremendous amount of support for this project.
There aren't a lot of projects on Nantucket that are slam dunks. And I was fortunate to be involved in one of them, which was the building of the new intermediate school, which went through town meeting without one negative comment. Not one. And then passed overwhelmingly. And I think this is another such project, because I think that we're going to have support. Again, I'm gonna use that word, multi-generational. We're going to have multi-generational support for this across the island. And so I think it's, never call anything a slam dunk, but I think that this has the potential to be broadly supported. We just need to, as you said, Joe, keep having those conversations and broadening the awareness. So
yeah,
I thank you. Is there anything else to add at this point?
I do want to add one thing. It would be nice if we could potentially get any sort of media attention, just especially in the summer with people here who potentially are philanthropic, or maybe they'd just be interested in helping get it off the ground. And
Yep.
It'd be nice if somebody at the Turn or Inky, wherever, would just say, hey, there seems to be a movement afoot, and Parks and Rec had meetings about it. And, you know,
Too.
Yeah, I think we could plant something, and I don't mean plant in the
Yeah, I know.
negative sense of the word, the positive sense of the word, that they would latch on to and maybe want to interview Charlie, or would probably be the representative, or Ken if he is back on board soon. So
Yeah, I think we could do the big media push once we get the green light on the feasibility money in the study, and that's the appropriate time to then,
Yeah.
hey, we're doing this. What,
Okay.
surveys are gonna be coming. We want your input. We want to know what you want.
And
That's-
Mike, you're such a, you've been in the community a long time, and I just think you bring a lot of gravitas to the whole process. So I think it's really important that you speak, you be one of the first voices to talk about it. I really do. Personally, I'm just saying that in my own personal capacity, but.
I appreciate that. You never know, though, that sometimes they're no longer listening to the former superintendent. So
But
we'll
you've been
see.
through the process with big projects, and I can't even think of anyone else who's gone through that process other than you at
It's,
the helm of it.
But this is exciting. I'm on board for anything that serves our kids especially, and then our broader community. And I think this is one that will do just that. So thank you all. Melissa, I did see that an email came in that'll connect you and with me on housing. Okay, and
Thank you for that. Yeah, I'll follow up. Thank you. So I
Okay.
really appreciate it.
all right. And thank you all. We'll see you next month.
Well, thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Everybody.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
August
Charlie.
4th, Melissa.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.